Hey basketball guys, we have news. Let's go to more news from the Golden State Warriors, but before that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your like. The Warriors are really in panic mode and their star Stephen Curry seems to be tired of suffering defeats to his rivals. To return to the successful days, he will need to make commercial moves and let go of young star Jonathan Kuminga. To get the star you need, just put Kuminga on the trade market, because he has high value for other franchises that want to sign him, as is the case with the Chicago Bulls who want to trade for Zach LaVine. Another level player is needed to help Key, and Zach LaVine is one of those who would fill this gap. The Golden State Warriors desperately need to make a trade. That is true no matter what you conclude about the true talent level of the team, or whether you believe this group can catch fire around Stephen Curry if the right player is added. The status quo is leading to as many losses as victories and is pulling down the entire morale of the team. When the Warriors pull together a win, they sound exhausted. When they lose, they sound defeated. Something about the current roster, the current mix, has to change for the Warriors moving forward, whether that is changing the role players or trying to land that second star. The Warriors need to trade for a second star. Increasingly with each game, however, the need for a second star is apparent. Curry is laboring against double teams and face guarding to get up enough shots to keep the Warriors alive, but there has to be a second option to run the offense when he sits and play off of him down the stretch of games. A clear and obvious trade candidate has not emerged, but that may be because the Warriors are not yet desperate enough. That desperation may come soon, as the losses pile up and the Western Conference standings get increasingly tight. The Warriors picked up a win on Thursday night on the road, but it was a white-knuckled three-point victory where if the game had gone another 2 or 3 minutes the Detroit Pistons may have finished the comeback. Prior to that, the Warriors were roundly clobbered by the Sacramento Kings and Miami Heat, both teams playing without their best players. There have been two primary barriers to the Warriors making a trade for a second star, be that Zach LaVine or Brandon Ingram or Jimmy Butler. The first is that there have been warts with each potential option, from contract situation to injury history to temperament. The other is that the Warriors have been unwilling to give up Jonathan Kuminga in a trade. The fourth-year forward continues to show flashes of offensive brilliance and has strung together some potent scoring nights this season, setting new career highs and single-handedly propelling the team to multiple victories. At the same time, Steve Kerr still cannot find it in his heart to start him consistently. If he is the team's second or third most important player, why is he not in the starting lineup? What's more, Kuminga continues to show the frustrating lapses of a player who is better suited, at least right now, to 82 games, not 16, as Draymond Green would say. The Warriors hate to give up on their own young talent, confident in their evaluation and development. They don't want to trade a young Klay Thompson for Kevin Love, if you will. They stood pat back then and were rewarded with a Hall of Famer. Yet Kuminga is no Klay Thompson, nor is he going to provide all-star level impact for the Warriors this season, when the organization need him. When Stephen Curry needs him. Could he develop into such a player down the line? It's certainly possible, and that tantalizing possibility is why the Warriors have not included him in trade offers for veteran win-now stars. That same potential is also why the Warriors need to move him now, to capitalize on making him the centerpiece of a trade to bring back a player ready to step up and carry the torch next to Curry. Perhaps they trade Kuminga and he explodes into a star, but he's not going to be the cornerstone of the next Warriors dynasty once Curry retires, and they need to do more to maximize competing with one of the 12 best players in NBA history right now. Did Kuminga already play his last game for the Warriors? Kuminga is currently out of the lineup with an ankle injury that should keep him out at least another couple of weeks. That carries him most of the way to the February 6th trade deadline. Is it possible the pressure for the Warriors builds enough that they make a move before he returns? Could they reach a level of desperation and find the right trade partner that it all comes together before Kuminga even steps foot back on the court for them? That seems to be in play, and probably should be in play. He likely won't increase his trade value in a week or two of games working back into form from a bad ankle injury. He may not decrease it, but he had a couple of big outings right before his injury, and that would be a fine last impression to leave for teams as the Warriors negotiate. It's possible the Warriors convince themselves again to keep Kuminga. It's possible there is not a star trade available to them that they are comfortable making. It's possible they decide their ceiling is so low even with a big trade that it's not worth throwing away assets. If the Warriors do make a trade, however, as it seems like they have to, it could mean a new home for Jonathan Kuminga. If that happens, the 7th overall pick in 2021 will have already played his last minutes for the Golden State Warriors. Did Warriors find key piece in their rebuild? On Friday night, coming into the second half of a back-to-back, the Golden State Warriors simply couldn't hang with the Indiana Pacers, falling 108-96. Golden State was led by Buddy Hield and Pat Spencer, who both posted 17 points. The Pacers, meanwhile, had 3 players score more than 20 points. In the game, rookie Quinton Post played the first non-garbage time minutes of his NBA career. The former Boston College standout turned second-round pick scored 6 points. He made 1 three-pointer on 2 attempts. As a towering 7-foot center, he made 38.8% of his shots from deep in college and is currently shooting 28.8% in the G League while grabbing 8.5 rebounds to go with 17.3 points. It was fun getting Quinton his first real minutes at a time where we're still in the game, just to see him come out there and space the floor, said Steve Kerr. You see what the impact is of having a space big. You just go pick and pop and all of a sudden the whole lane opens up and that's a nice look for us. Post is averaging 2 assists per game with the Santa Cruz Warriors, and if he can truly become a shooting threat, expect his facilitating to improve as well. If Quinton can develop, he could be a real threat for us and give us a totally different look offensively, Kerr predicted. As the Warriors hunt for a playoff spot, developing rookies isn't exactly a priority, but as they look toward the future, having a promising, well-rounded center could help their rebuild. Latest report on Warriors trade for $197 million All-Star. Even though the Golden State Warriors made a trade for Dennis Schroeder, it's become abundantly clear that it wasn't enough. If the Warriors want to maximize Steph Curry's final great years in the NBA, they'll need to trade for another All-Star, because what they have isn't enough. Some of the names that fans have wanted linked to the Warriors are Zach LaVine, Jimmy Butler, Nikola Vucevic, and even Zion Williamson. While some of the names may have some legitimate potential at becoming a Warrior, there are some that should be ruled out. One of those is Zion Williamson. According to NBA insider Mark Spears, the Golden State Warriors are not monitoring Pelicans superstar Zion Y. I also did hear that Zion's not on the Warriors' radar, Spears said. Which, I know others might feel differently, but probably a good thing. Because with Zion, you just don't know what you're going to get and when he's going to be healthy, and his salary cap number's rather high as well. I just think the Warriors in the end will get someone in a very creative way. They actually have to. While Zion would be an incredibly enticing pickup for the Warriors and one that could rejuvenate interest in the franchise, he's a very risky one. Williamson has had a very rough injury history and the Warriors need someone available for when Steph isn't playing. Not only that, Williamson's recent one-game suspension due to consistently being late also speaks for itself. He's simply not ready to lead a team. Based on all of the current reports, it seems far more likely that the Golden State Warriors would make a move for new center than they would for a guard forward. With that in mind, it should be easier to consider Zion out of the race.